Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. Little old me talking about little old me stuff, I guess. There will definitely be some movie talk. There'll definitely be some game talk. There'll be some stuff out of my brain from the last week. So, look forward to that. YouTube watchers, you guys, I'm talking directly to you now. You feel special for this small moment while I talk to you and tell you, thanks for subscribing. I'll do that thing where you go, thanks in advance for subscribing. How about that? Cool. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Wow, I'll allow for a freaking start, Jesus. I think something has tickled my throat. It is not the virus. A little bit of a wheeze going on, not the virus. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of a man who was prepared for this. Hello. It is I. It's Monday at time of recording. At this point in time, I don't think we need to cover dates or anything. Just saying. One thing I will say is a lot later than normal. Even previous weeks where I've been complaining about it getting late, it's late. That is largely to do with just fully tossing it off. I was watching Your Mum's House Live 2 podcast from the weekend. It's going to be done in 3 parts, this one. It's 3.5 hours long. Up to 2.5 hours into it now. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, not living up to the hype, but we'll see. Hopefully don't end up super distracted. There is here we go. Yeah, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. There is a spider situation. I can give you a rundown of my level of arachnophobia. I remember the exact moment in life that I became arachnophobic. Because fear is learned. You learn to fear things. So I remember the exact moment I became arachnophobic, and had a variety of ups and downs with the 8-legged species. And then last few years it's been very much a they don't bother me, I don't bother them kind of situation, and I think that works reasonably well. But every now and then you just got to keep your eye on one. There's one in the corner of the room, and every single one of them will eventually do the same thing. It'll wait for a while and then it'll be like, I'm going to see what you're doing. So let's see if I can get as close as possible to you. So any minute, that's probably what's going to happen. It's been an up and down kind of week. Still trying to keep the podcast positive. Something that I've taken out this week, partially intentionally, partially not. I have removed Pet Love, Pet Hate. Could have done it. I've decided not to. That's just a thing. So probably don't need to dwell on it too much. As seems to be the thing at the moment, lots of movies. I watched some really good movies this week. Couple, 2 or 3 TV shows, a few games, and some stuff from the week. I'm not 100% sure if I need to always give this rundown at the start or whether I should just be jumping in. But you know, gives you a heads up. So, multiple... No, I'm lying. A couple of things tie into each other. So a couple of things that have happened this week tie into each other. The only way for you to find out what those things are is for me to start talking. Another blast already. That's probably not good. It's not the virus. So, trying to get my shit together, and I've gone back to some form of running. There are some things that I am talking about that I'm doing at the moment, running. There are some things that I'm not talking about at the moment. Not like huge secrets. So I'm not keeping secrets from you. But I feel like I want to advance a bit more before I start saying so. Hobbies and interests, and shortest version is I know what I'm like. I get a hobby, I get an interest, I go all out, I get stuck in, I get engrossed, I get to a position where it's all I talk about, so on and so forth, and then I just don't do it anymore. And then further down the line I feel like an idiot because I got so engrossed and talked about it so much. So try not to do that until further down the line. Running's not one of those things. You people know. I imagine you know some of my history of running. And obviously I've already told you recently that I've gone back to running. And when I say running, it is as it always has been, and I guess possibly always will be. It's moving my feet slightly faster than walking. So I guess that means it has to be called running. On top of that, I've been trying to curb the eating again. As we know, I always notice an influx of bad eating when my mental health isn't at its best. So trying to get on top of that, and it all sort of works together. So there's that part of me was like, I was doing quite well. I want to say I was doing quite well because I was getting up every day, going for a run, walk, whatever you want to call it, and I've been curbing my eating. So get to Wednesday, day with the baby, lots needs doing. Got to make a meal, got to do jobs, got to do this, that, and the other. Went into town, popped into Expressions. Me and Chris are doing the NFL sticker book this season, and he'd managed to source some stickers, so I went to get the stickers, give the man some money, so on and so forth. Heading back from town, and I was like, I've been good in more ways than one, getting up and going running, and eating well. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to stop off at Costa. Going to get one of them frosty drinks that I like. I'll get a lemon one while I'm there, and then that can be like a bit of a treat, a bit of a, like, you know, you're doing okay kind of thing. Wednesday's a rest day, so you know you're supposed to on your rest day ever so slightly increase your calories anyway. So you know, let's do that sort of thing. Cool beans. So that's what I did. 2 frosty drinks, please. There you go. Take the exuberant amount of money, and away we go. Got home. So it's always the way. You've got a load of stuff that you've bought while you've been out. You've got sometimes pushchair. You've got the drinks. You've got the child. So everything needs to go into the house. So what order do you do things in? So I normally open the door, get the drinks, take the drinks in, drop those off, and then come back for either the shopping, whatever that might be, drinks bottles, juice bottles, whatever, and then grab the baby, because you know she can sit in the chair for 2 minutes. So I grab the drinks, I open the front door, I walk in. The table in the hall is an issue. Like anything, the chair I am looking at right now, the space on the floor in front of me, you get a chair isn't a chair is a clothes horse. On there is, you know, a jumper, a pair of jeans, 2 items of leg variety, jogging bottoms type things, and they're all there because I'm not wearing them. So any surface like that, the hall table for example, it's just a dumping ground. And you know, there's been issues in the past with the fact that, you know, it's this surface for putting stuff down on, but you can't put anything down on it because it's just covered in junk at all times. So I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. I'm like, I could put one drink down there and I could put one drink down there. Oh no, there's a load of papers there, and you never know if it's paperwork that's needed, and because the drink's cold, it'll have like condensation on it. So I saw a space, but there was a space, so I put one drink down. I saw another space, had a piece of paper. I was like, I can put it down there in that space on that piece of paper. Cool beans, no worries, problem solved. The space in question was on top of a small box. Cool. Job done. Everyone's happy. I put the drink down. I turned to head back outside to bring the next lot of stuff in. And in the process of putting the drink down and turning, I registered that where I'd put the drink was actually on the edge of the box, and the drink fell, and it fell off the box, off the table, onto the floor. The lid came off, the contents everywhere. And it was just one of those things. It was like, hey, you know, you've done well. You've done well this week. You've got up. You know, you spent a lot of time saying you didn't have time, but you knew that you had time, so you got up and you went out and you did the running. And you've hated every minute of it, but you've still done it, and you've done it every day. And we'll come to that. You've curbed your eating, you know. You're trying to look past food as the answer to all of life's problems. And it was like a tiny little reward for two fairly major things, and that was the outcome. And I shouldn't say this because it goes against the food as a reward thing and all that, but I was gutted, properly awesome. And then not to mention the fact that it's like I spent a lot of money on it. I didn't drink any of it. It all went all over the floor. Money down the drain. I had to clean it up. So much mess. So much cleaning up required. It was just the biggest kick in the balls. And I put a drink down in the wrong place and it fell over, but I was still mourning its loss 2 days later. I'm like, yep, never did get that drink. Which obviously isn't true because Leanne, the lovely person that she is, saw my woes and got me one a couple of days later. Might have even been the next day, I don't know. So but yeah, I was sad because, and this ties into the next thing I'm going to talk about. This is where we start tying stuff together. It was like a reward. So we're doing the running. I think last week I'd spoken about the inner bitch. My inner bitch is just in full swing. So I went for this run. I've written down here, worst run ever. Hands down, categorically, the worst run I have ever had. Inner bitch was in full effect and was just like, hey, why don't you stop? It's like, no, I've got to make it to this next sort of marker. And the inner bitch was like, yeah, but you could stop now. And I was like, no, we're going to the next bit where we go to. That's how we do this run. And the bitch was like, alright, cool. But you could stop now. So what was happening was, we'll get into like, oh, there's the marker, it's right there. And the inner bitch would be like, yeah, but if you stop now, then you're not running anymore. And then I would stop. Before the point in time that I was supposed to stop. Which is already an issue because, I used to run like 4 miles a day, every day. I used to walk the 4 miles in the morning and run the 4 miles in the evening. Used to get the steps in those days, I'll tell you that much. And now we couldn't run. Like when you drive down, not necessarily a main road, but like I was going to say housing estate, but it's not. It's just like a suburban area, and you get those side streets where obviously there's houses. Couldn't even run between two turn-offs. Couldn't even do that. In a bitch in full effect. Hands down, the worst run I've ever had. So I got so far and I was like, do you know what? You can, and excuse my language, you can fuck off. This is unacceptable. So I was like, alright then, here, how about this? How about we're just gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep getting up and we're gonna keep coming out here, and if you're gonna be a little bitch about it, we're just gonna keep doing it. The next day, same thing again. Oh, how about we stop now? How about we stop here? We don't need to run this. Yeah, completely disillusioned, completely miserable about the whole thing. And then things have changed and gone back to, we're not running the, what's all this we shit? Me and my inner bitch, I suppose. I am not running the full circuit in one go. It's more like 2 or 3 or 4. But certainly better than like 16 or whatever it was that day that it was awful. So I think I've certainly run 5 days out of 7. Did I get up and go? I know I didn't go on Sunday. Did I go on Wednesday? Might have gone on Wednesday, so it might have been 6 out of 7. I went on Saturday, not that much. Let's say it was at least 5. Curbed the eating, doing the running, doing the working out, getting back into the groove, getting things motivated, getting things going. It's like, yes, here we go, getting back to it. Got on the scales this morning, was like, here we go. Now at this point in time, what I need is a little boost, just a little bit of something where I've lost a little bit of weight, and that'll really drive me forward. That'll really push me on. Just a little is fine, even a pound would do, because it's progress. So at this point in time, you know what's coming, don't you? It's either, I stepped on the scales and lost 5 pounds in a week. But it's not going to be that, is it? What it's going to be is, I stepped on the scales this morning and I weighed exactly the same as I did last week. And I'm not going to lie, that has been nearly as big a kick in the balls as dropping that fucking drink. Because now I'm just like, well, what exactly is the actual point to any of this? What is... My body hurts so much. Like, about 3 weeks ago, my sciatica kicked off, and that's that. That is now like basically a permanent thing. I have this lower left back pain. That's just a thing now. My knees hurt, which I know from like listening to Joe Rogan stuff. That's attributed to carrying too much weight. Can't imagine running carrying too much weight is doing those guys any good. I can't get out of a chair. I've mentioned this before. I feel like my granddad when I get out of a chair, because let's face it, this was the exact thing that I feared was going to happen. The thing I feared was going to happen is exactly what is happening. I feared I was going to get to 40 there's this thing about like getting to 40 where your metabolism basically grinds to a halt, and everything becomes 10 times harder. Losing weight, staying fit, keeping in shape, keeping agile, keeping mobile, keeping limber, all of it becomes 10 times harder literally the moment you pass 40. So my biggest fear about all of this and wanting to get sorted before turning 40, yeah, we're absolutely in the realms of what I was afraid of. Spider's nearly made it round to me, by the way. It's gone all the way. We're on to wall number 3. And this is the thing, he's just absolutely charging full pelt. Because he's like, what have you got going on? I need to come around and see you. Wait there, I'll be there in a minute. So yeah, I'm basically at the point now where I'm like, I honestly don't understand or see the point to this at all. What's the point in going out, hating every minute of it, getting up early, trying not to eat stuff so that I can not lose any weight? So yeah, love that. I've had a couple of podcast coding issues recently. I don't know if you guys that are listening to listen to any of the other podcasts, if you listen to, I think it's the NFL podcast, the first NFL podcast podcast managed to fire the audio for that into the stun. So I had to rip the audio off the video, which I'm sure you can imagine will have been amazing. Couldn't top and tail it either. So there was that. Super good time, super fun. Last week, managed to overwrite a piece of audio with the week before's audio. And I'm trying to like marry up the audio with the video. I'm wondering why they don't look anything like each other. And yeah, it was because I had the wrong piece of audio, because I'd overwritten the audio that I needed. So that's been loads of fun sorting all of those things out. And you know, we have to take our learns away from these things. And obviously our learn in this situation is that we need to just slow it down a bit, take a little easy, don't be so hasty, don't think you know what you're doing, because yeah, apparently you haven't got a fucking clue. Went a little afternoon out where it's supposed to be a bit of a day trip, and then you know you've got little people sleeping and things like that to take into account. So it was more of just an afternoon yesterday. But went to the Air Museum again. I don't need to hugely cover, you know, it's not that long ago. Went to the Air Museum. The guy that sort of showed us where to park was very kind and told us that we'd missed them firing up the Nimrod for the first time since last year. Just missed it by an hour. So, you know, there was that. Yeah, I like it there. My eldest seems to get a lot out of it as well. The middle daughter, she likes the planes. Yeah, I was, you know, reading more stuff. I think when you've got kids and you're at a museum, you kind of have to sort of go a bit quicker than you would if it was just you on your own. Maybe I've said today, if I went on my own, I'd probably spend 2, 3, 4 times longer there than I would or do with the girls. I just find it fascinating. I find it all fascinating. It's a really interesting place. I love looking at old planes. I like reading about I'm quite into reading about the Second World War at the moment. I got a sample for a book about the Second World War, and it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Certainly something that I'll probably looking to get in further down the line. I think the book, it was like World War II not for dummies, but it's like a simplified version of World War II. But yeah, I always enjoyed history. It was something I wish I could have pursued more in my younger days. Maybe whilst I was at school. Right, movies. I've written a film down here that I haven't watched all of. Though, to be fair, I've written 2 films down that I haven't watched all of. One of them I haven't quite finished watching, was the point there. One, I'm lying, there's another film there that I haven't watched all of and won't be. 1, 2. Oh no, 3. Some of the films on this list I have seen before, and because of that won't spend too long going on about. First film of the week is District 9. Obviously not a new film. I love District 9. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's one of those films that it's very much you either love it, or it's a Marmite movie. You love it or you hate it. And I love it. I think it's a great film. It's a great story. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, well, it's been out quite a while at this point in time. So it's a kind of, if you haven't seen it, I don't know if you would maybe watch it now. I mean, I watch stuff that has been out a while that I've never seen. Okay, the spider has made it. He is here. I might get him on as a guest. Ask him why he felt it necessary to go, firstly, the long way around the room, and secondly, all the way around the room to come and see me. Fucking oddball. For those of you who don't know, it's a very sort of, aliens come to Earth, and then there's like people that are in charge of sort of evicting them from where they live and moving them to new housing. And the story sort of follows one guy, like the head of the project to evict these aliens, and a couple of the aliens that are being evicted. I put a film on that I was going to watch. Problem about it is I've seen it recently, and I started watching it, and I was like, I've seen this film too recently to watch it now. I started watching Warrior, and I got so far into it, and I was like, I've seen this film too recently. I think I just need to maybe not watch it now, maybe come back to it a bit later. So I paused it. I watched it on Prime, and now every time I finish a film, it's like, do you want to watch Warrior? I'm like, maybe later. So yeah, I wrote it down on the list because I was like, I'm watching Warrior now, and I'll watch that, and then I didn't finish it. Great film. Seen it a few times. One of those that it was on either Netflix or Prime, and then it wasn't, so I bought it, and then it went on back on. It's like I was watching it on Prime, but I'm pretty sure it might be on Netflix as well after I bought it. It's like, cool, that's awesome. Cheers for that. So I watched the film Draft Day, which is a film that I wanted to see at the cinema. Because, you know, American football, isn't it? And I never got to see it at the cinema, is the short version. I was just thinking, I'm like, is that the film where I was like, Jesus Christ, the cast for that freaking film. Right, where's I've got Draft Day. It's a film about shockingly Draft Day for the NFL. Kevin Costner is the general manager of the Browns, which for anybody that doesn't follow the NFL, not the best team in the NFL. One of the lower down teams, very much. And there's this whole story. There's like stuff to do with his dad, stuff to do with his mum, stuff to do with the woman he's seeing, and so on and so forth. But I will read you the cast and crew. Not the cast and crew at all. I'll read you the cast. One of the characters in it, not a main character, but definitely in it. And lovely to see Chadwick Boseman. I didn't realise he was in it, and he was cool in it. He was funny in it. That was nice to see. So Kevin Costner, Chadwick Boseman, Jennifer Garner. Typically, now that I actually go into it, I'm like, Deion Sanders is in it as himself. I mean, this is just a load of people listed as themselves. Can we get a better look at this? Deion Sanders, Jennifer Garner, Chadwick Boseman. Terry Crews was in it. Dennis Leary was in it. Wade Williams, who was in Prison Break for pretty much all of it, I think. There's me going, oh god, it's full of people. And I can't. Sean Diddy Combs was in it. Puff Daddy's in it. Tom Welling of Smallville fame. Sam Elliott. Roger Goodell was in it as himself, shockingly. Rosanna Arquette, just randomly in it. I feel like IMDb is letting me down here because I just sat through the film going, oh my god, they're in it. Oh my god, they're in it. Oh wow, can't believe they're in it. So I'm going to have to come away from the IMDb. Terry Crews, I mentioned Terry Crews, didn't I? John Candy's listed as being in it, which he was, but it was like film footage, so I don't know why they've actually listed him as being in it. Yeah, this has let me down a lot, I'm afraid. I feel like I've sold this incorrectly. Anywho, Draft Day. It was good. It was good fun. It was good to watch. It was one of those things where it was NFL. It was exciting. It mentioned teams like the Seahawks came in immediately. A lot of fun. A lot of fun for a film about NFL draft, ultimately, which is notoriously quite boring. So, if you enjoy the NFL and want a little bit of insight on what it's like on draft day, fictional insight I imagine, then check out Draft Day. I put on The Mechanic 2. So, I watched The Mechanic recently for the first time. I'd never seen it before. Kind of steered away from the Jason Statham action movie because I'm like, yeah, don't care how many times you try and tell me that Jason Statham's an action movie star, I don't believe you. This is a man who's just watched 3 Expendables movies. Anywho, I put The Mechanic 2 on because for a film, The Mechanic wasn't actually all that bad. Had some sort of twists and turns. Enjoyable. Well, I had to turn it off. Now, I can't tell you another film I've had to turn off. I can tell you 2 films that I wanted to leave, or I wanted to walk out on, that I watched at the cinema. One was Traffic and the other was Jackie Brown. 2 of the worst films I've ever seen. But when you're sitting in your own home and you've got the buttons there in front of you, you can happily turn off what, for the 10 to 15 minutes of what I'd watched, hands down had to be one of the worst, if not the worst film I'd seen. The acting from everybody in it, like Jason Statham was barely holding it together. Every other person that was in that film was fucking atrocious. Like, awful. I mean, let's face it, it was like that I turned it off from a man that says he likes bad movies. I had to turn it off. It was not good. No. So yeah, I cannot heartily recommend The Mechanic 2. Keeping in the NFL theme, I watched the film Concussion. Another film I wanted to see at the time. Another film that I never got around to seeing. Available to watch on Prime, so I did. Let's deal with the elephant in the room first. Will Smith. Got a lot of time for him. Saw a weird video of Will Smith recently doing some kind of conversation with Jada, his wife, ex-wife, wife, whatever the hell she is, them talking about the affair that she had, which was quite uncomfortable to watch. And there's been the odd thing here and there that I think is a bit odd, but all in all, generally got an amount of time for Will Smith. Every now and then he's cast in roles that I'm like, The Aladdin live action film, that's a role that he should not have been cast in. And there was that one where he plays a younger version of himself. Haven't seen it, but I just could not work out what was going on there. So he's been cast in this role of Concussion, and he's supposed to be from like Zimbabwe, maybe. So yeah, he's got an accent, and let's cast back to last week when I was saying why do they cast British actors in American films and then make them do terrible American accents. Again, I get why we cast Will Smith, one of the biggest actors in the world. I guess I can guess why we cast him for big movies. Alec Baldwin was in it. But I think this is part of the reason that things are, things in Hollywood and the movie business and stuff like that is the way it is. Couldn't we have got somebody, a native of that country to play that role? Anyway, wonderful insight into the world of the NFL and the dangers around the NFL and CTE. The NFL wanted to disprove him and make him out to be a liar, and said that his medical degrees weren't worth it. The character he played was an incredibly intelligent man. Multiple, I was going to say awards. They're not awards, are they? Academic education things. Jesus Christ, I honestly cannot think what I'm trying to say. She's useful, isn't it? Very interesting insight into the CTE stuff. For a man who does enjoy American football, I think it's definitely become one of those things over the last few years that it's so incredibly dangerous, and it is something that changes these people's minds. It kind of is one of them. Name a NFL player and then let's look at some of the bad things they've done in their life, because most of them, a lot of them should I say, allegedly should I say, are involved in something. So going back to the Aaron Hernandez and so on and so forth. Enjoyable film. Another one I'd heartily recommend. I watched The Founder. This was a tough one. So, another film I wanted to see at the cinema. I really wanted to see this one. I really wanted to see this one. This is the story of the quote-unquote founder of McDonald's, which in itself is a statement and a half. Firstly, let's get this way out on Front Street. Michael Keaton, got a lot of time for Michael Keaton. Ever since he played Batman, could do no wrong. I've enjoyed everything I've seen him in, and apparently he's going to be reprising his Batman role. I believe he's reprising his Bruce Wayne role. So we'll see what comes of that. He played the quote unquote founder of McDonald's. I have issues with the McDonald's as a company. As a rule, I generally don't eat or drink there. That's not to say that I haven't. That's not to say that I won't in the future. Generally, as a rule, I don't. Growing up, my mother was super dead against McDonald's for a variety of different reasons. One of them was this thing about they gave money to the IRA, allegedly, and we lived in Manchester, and with the Manchester bombing, which was hugely devastating to the city of Manchester, there was this You know, it was the IRA, McDonald's. In our house, the two things went hand in hand. I can't talk too much about it because I don't honestly know too much about it. From my perspective, I'm not a huge fan of them because I don't think they're a very ethical company as far as the waste that they produce and the way they go about selling their products. I don't think is overly ethical. You know, it's very much a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? Nobody's making people eat the food, but then, you know, I will say this. I do believe more recently in the last few years they have done a lot to address their image, and they do give a lot of healthier options. But again, you know, on the flip side of that, nobody's going to McDonald's for a salad, are they? So, personally, I don't view them as an amazing company. And I think all I can really say is, well, after watching that film, it was like evil corporation founded by a disgusting human being. One of those things. Movies are movies. They're based on true stories. There's a lot of fabrication, a lot of jazzing stuff up. He said this, no he didn't, he said it like this, so on and so forth. But the basis of these stories is a true story, and that man was disgusting. You know, the two guys, you know, Mac and Donald, if that indeed was their name, he just railroaded them, and it was all about money, and it was all about him getting more money, and he just absolutely shafted them, and then created this huge corporation. At the end it said that every day McDonald's feeds 1% of the world population every day. And yeah, you know, billions and millions and billions and billions of dollars. So, you know, as a film, very good film. Not one way you would say, oh, it was an enjoyable watch, but very good film. Michael Keaton played that part very well, but yes, that was a disgusting human being. I watched The Upside. Can you guess what? Film wanted to see at the cinema. Two people that I have a lot of time for, Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. I like Kevin Hart for two reasons. One, I really enjoy stand-up. I like his stand-up comedy. And two, as far as I watched that documentary about him and just, you know, how he makes these monumental fuck-ups. And a man like me can sympathise with things like that. Didn't realise at the time, but I do now, that The Upside is a remake of a French film that was based on a true story. Didn't know that. Pretty standard kind of film. Bryan Cranston plays a quadriplegic who he was paralysed in a hang gliding accident, and on top of that his wife died. Unrelated. I think she died of cancer and he had this accident. So he's very depressed in a lot of ways. He needs somebody to look after him and take care of him and all this. Kevin Hart is a fresh out of prison parolee, needs to find a job, otherwise could go back to prison. Ends up applying for the job, and because of his, because of his way, because of how he is, he ends up getting the job. And, it's one of those. Kevin Hart shows Bryan Cranston how to live a little. Bryan Cranston shows Kevin Hart a bit of culture. And it's just sort of like the ups and downs of that relationship. Very enjoyable. I really enjoy it. Another film that I would say is very charming. Very heartwarming movie. Nicole Kidman's in it. Don't have a lot of time for Nicole Kidman at the moment. Used to have a lot of time for her. Don't really anymore, because she's had way too much plastic surgery done, and it's really off-putting to look at. Outside of that, really, really charming little movie. Really, really enjoyable. I heartily recommend that film. I very, very much enjoyed it. In a lot of ways, a very similar film, and actually one that was on my movie poster, which I can now cross off, is The Green Book, or is it just called Green Book? Viggo, is it? Viggo Mortensen? Do you know what? I am now wondering if the other guy was from Luke Cage. How do we find Green Book? It's just Green Book. Viggo Mortensen. Mahershala Ali. I'm sure that was the guy from Luke Cage. Yeah, Cottonmouth, wasn't it? Again, it kind of flips it round. The black guy is hiring the white guy, whereas in the Upside it was the white guy hiring the black guy. And it was set 1962. Again, based on a true story. So very much, very poignant right now with the way that America is, certainly with the race issue. This was very much a race-based film. Guy, he's a doctor, but a doctor of music, needs a bodyguard to go with him because he's going to do a tour of the Deep South in the 60s. And obviously, as you can imagine, that brings with it pretty much everything that I presume the Deep South in the 60s was. Getting pulled over by the police, getting, bar fights, refuse service in restaurants. These are the same restaurants that he was going to perform in. Not being allowed to use the facilities, like the toilet, and saying, well, I can go and use the toilet at my hotel, but it's it'd take me half an hour to get there and half an hour to get back. And the guy being like, we'll wait. It's like, wow. Obviously, I've spoken extensively about race issues, and it's just, you just can't imagine. It's the fucking balls on people. There was times like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, and saying it to these people, saying you can't try on a suit. You can buy it and we'll alter it for you, but you can't try it on. You can't eat here. You can't be served here. You can't. All of this just very difficult to watch. Very hard to watch. Some very heartwarming scenes. The scene at the end is very heartwarming, and based on a true story. And these guys stayed friends until they both died. So I thought it was interesting. They both died within months of each other, which. Yeah, Sad, but a good film nonetheless. And to keep in with Viggo Mortensen, I'm watching The History of Violence. Nearly finished it. Didn't quite get a chance to finish it. It is a film I've seen before though, and it's a film that I've thoroughly enjoyed previously. That's probably one of those. I'll probably finish it before next week's podcast and probably won't review it. TV wise, finally finished the Umbrella Academy Series 2. Everyone raves about the Umbrella Academy. I thoroughly enjoyed Series 1. Series 2 to me was every single time travel cliche rolled into one. Add a few extra superpowers. That's Series 2. It was just every time travel cliche you could ask for. And I won't spoil it, but to end that series, they ended on one of the most time travelling cliches ever. And I was just like, oh, just piss off. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I overly enjoyed Series 2. I think there was a reason why it took me so long to get through it. Time is a factor, as we know, but also it just wasn't really doing it for me. I don't get on well with time travel, and especially not when you use all the time travel cliches. And let's sort of leave it there. I'm kind of glad I finished it, which means I don't have to deal with it anymore. Which again, that surely doesn't say great things about it. But it's done now, so Series 3 is probably something that I will have to seriously consider whether I actually bother with it. I watched The Boys episode 2. No, Boys Series 2 episode 2. Again, everybody loves The Boys. I loved Series 1. I think it's just me and Series 2 for anything. Just don't get on. I just don't get on with the second series of anything. I'm going to say this. I do not appreciate the way Huey is being treated. And that is my issue with this series. I'm not down with the way that Huey's being treated. I presume there is a reason. Whatever that reason is, I feel they kind of need to hurry up and sort of explain it, because otherwise it's just bullying for no reason. I don't overly get it, and maybe I'm not supposed to 2 episodes in, but I find it quite uncomfortable to watch. But as with a lot of things other than the Mechanic 2, I will stick with it and we'll see where it goes. I also watched Titans Season 2 Episode 1. That should definitely have been the last episode of Season 1. Like, absolutely, categorically should have been the last episode of the first series. Not overly brilliant. Very much wondering where the hell this series is going to go from here. I know that there are going to be new characters in it, and from everything I've seen, this series should pick up quite considerably. I'm pretty sure that Cadmus come into it, which is a company that spans the DC universe. So I'm very much like, I hope this picks up, and I do wonder where it's gonna go from here. So I'll keep you posted as best I can. Games. I've been playing a little bit of golf. I've moved my way up to the PGA Tour. Just trying to grind that out. It's the game I play when I want to relax. It's in a lot of ways very much like having an actual round of golf. It brings the pace down a touch, gives you the opportunity to chill out, relax, ease into a round of golf. So there's that. I've also been playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. It might be a situation where I've played it too soon, or it might be that I've finally reached the point where I've played it too much. But it has been feeling like a little bit of a chore, and I have found myself turning it off sort of earlier than I would normally turn a game off. Don't get me wrong, I still love it, but if you just do something too much, you just end up it's just too much, isn't it? I've written down in the game section about the PS5 announcements that there have been recently. Nothing sounds good about the PS5. They have cut production by 4 million units because of quote unquote chip issues. They did the pre-orders for the PS5s. They just didn't announce when it was going to be, and then it started. They had to do some kind of like beg to the gods to ask if you could be worthy to pre-order a £450 console. Obviously the pre-orders went immediately. As far as the PS5 is concerned, I am just just nothing about it I find to be appealing. Obviously I find the Xbox X, is it? Even less appealing, even though by the looks of things it's A, going to be faster, and B, going to have a lot more features. I strangely find that even less appealing. So I think the games market is probably coming to an end for me. We've had a good run. Last thing on my list is I purchased Crisis 1 Remastered. Very mixed things about it. I heard a lot of places saying that it was horribly broken. Apparently it barely runs on the Xbox. I didn't really hear a lot about it on the PlayStation, which is kind of part of the reason I bought it on the PlayStation. But I have heard bad things about it on the PC. Something I will say is, for a game that people have gushed over for however many years it is, feels like a lot of years, it's not that great. Doesn't look amazing. I presume that's a console thing and an age thing. Let's be fair. It's an old game. And the other issue I'm having with it is, for a first-person shooter, the fact that the worst part of it is the shooting. I feel something's gone severely wrong somewhere along the lines. Outside of that, everything else is really good. I've always liked the Crisis model. I like the cloaking and the armour that you can equip and stuff. The guns and the attachments and the various different things. All of that's great. But yeah, for a shooter where the hands down worst aspect of the game is the shooting, I'm like, I mean, you had one job and you couldn't do that. So yeah, that is that for this week. Felt like a long one. That I bet that was a long one. I imagine some of you felt like it was a long one as well. Just to give you an update on Spider, it's nearly made it all the way around the room. Didn't stop for a chat, just carried on walking, which was interesting. So yeah, there you go. Spider update finished, and so is this podcast. So until next time, I'm going to say bye. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Oof, it's getting a bit of a habit, this, I tell you. Ooh. YouTube watchers, make sure you subscribe. If you click the notification bell, you'll get told when there's new videos available. And you never know, there might actually be videos you want to watch. So, worth doing. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, see what we got going on. Usually some like links for social media and email and stuff, which you can use to send us things. We like things, so, that's an option. So there we go. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.